Hi, everyone. Oh, I got it. Okay, so I'm really excited for today's presentation. Oops, I shouldn't have posted that. Social Media 101 for college students. I'll introduce myself really quickly. My name is Vanessa Reyes, and I am the Development and Communications Specialist for Serendipity Center. Really quickly, it's a nonprofit K-12 school, a therapeutic school in East Portland. And so a little bit about my experience, why I was selected for this presentation. Some of you might recognize me. Up until about a month ago, I worked here at Pacific. I was the Community and Relations Coordinator. Throughout my career, in a lot of positions I have had, I have managed organizations' social media accounts. It's also something I really like to do for like, personal. I like to stay up to date with like news, current events, pop culture. So I'm just gonna apologize ahead of time for all the different like gifts I have in my presentation. Okay. Did everyone check it? I don't think we did that. If you could just take a second, use your phone and check in. Everyone's good. We'll keep going. Okay. So for today's objectives, or what I thought we would talk about this afternoon, in my brain, the way when I was setting up this presentation, I just kind of formed like these three buckets. So I have social media is career development. So we'll talk about that. Also, your social media footprint, what is it and why does it matter? And then we'll talk about social media do's and don'ts, some advantages and ways that you can capitalize using your social media platforms, and then also some mistakes and like pitfalls to avoid. Okay, so first, social media and career development are a match. How? So first off, I want to ask the audience and everyone on Zoom, you can raise your hand. How many of you would say that using social media is part of your daily routine? Just about everyone, okay, pretty good. And then for us to have a shared definition of career development, I'm going to define it as an ongoing process of improving your career readiness skills as you explore and also refine your career path. So how is social media and career development a match? So using social media, it can really help you to develop your understanding of different types of careers and your awareness of those different types of opportunities. So for example, you can identify which jobs and roles are out there. You can use hashtags to narrow your search. Some social media platforms utilize hashtags, Instagram, Twitter, think TikTok. So you can do general job search hashtags like hashtag job search or hashtag recruiting, hiring now. You can also do location-based hashtags to really narrow your search. You can also get really specific too with maybe like a specific industry or sector that you're interested in working in. And then one of my favorite ways to use social media is to research and also follow employers. So, you know, typically you're thinking of an organization that you're interested in working in, you might Google them and look up their website. And that's great to find information, but I feel like a lot of organizations that have social media accounts, it kind of gives you like a behind the scenes view. So you can find their account, maybe see what they posted on their stories. Maybe they're doing Q&A sessions. Maybe like the Academic and Career Advising Center, they have, staff introduction. So kind of get to see beyond just the website. And this is also really helpful when you're tailoring your job application, maybe preparing for an interview. You've got some extra information, kind of a behind the scenes look. And then you can also follow employers to kind of keep up with new job alerts, because more and more employers, they are posting, their jobs on social media. You can also explore different career paths with others to work out what might be a really good fit for you. So I would say that LinkedIn is really good for this, and I'll get into that in the next slide. But maybe you're pursuing a business degree and you want to major in marketing. You can connect with classmates and alumni, other people with a similar major as you, maybe some similar experience, just to discover where they're at in their career, how they've kind of built up their experience, what organizations they're affiliated with. That's a really great way to get your foot in the door and kind of make those connections. So then I thought about all the different types of social media platforms that are out there. And just the way that I set this up, I was thinking about the ones that seem most relevant to career development. So I listed LinkedIn first. I thought I could just really quickly kind of break it down. What is it? Who uses it? The benefits, and then also some potential, I guess, cons. So LinkedIn is that girl. LinkedIn has been around since 2003, I think. And it's really looked at like a super network platform for professionals. A lot of businesses use LinkedIn. So again, students, people that are just starting out in their career, seasoned professionals, businesses, there's a wide range of users of LinkedIn. It's a really great way to connect with professionals who have a similar background, education experience. And there's also a wide range of opportunities on the platform. And also I wanted to back up really quick. All of these are free. So that was the other thing that I wanted to mention. Some potential like cons, I think that there could be some spam connections where you're adding new people to your I guess network on LinkedIn. It can really become overwhelming with people that you really don't know. Your feed being totally flooded with like irrelevant content. LinkedIn, it feels like over the last couple of years, it's really seemed to turn more into like a personal sharing and like stories, like a lot of like feel good. So I don't care about that stuff. So it gets really annoying being on there sometimes. Polywork is something like brand new to me. I actually just learned about it. You could think of it as LinkedIn's younger, cooler cousin for multi-hyphenates. So basically people that are more than just our job title, right? Like the idea that we are not, monolith, and we have multiple identities, intersecting identities, and so it's catered more towards a younger generation. What's really cool about Polywork is it's more than just you listing out your job and your experience. On the website, there are ways for you to add badges to your account. So maybe you're like, oh, I'm a podcaster, or I'm open to collaborating with people on this project. I'm into product development. I'm a writer. So it really is a great way for creatives with multiple skills and interests to share their projects and also apply to potential opportunities to collaborate on, things that folks are posting. I won't spend a bunch of time on Twitter and Instagram. Briefly, y'all know about Twitter and Instagram. I will say with Twitter, it is like still today the most popular source of information for news, discussions. That is a good way to strengthen your personal brand. Also, we're in the era of like posts going viral, so like Twitter do your thing. So, but it also can be quite anonymous, distracting, and then also having to decide public versus private accounts. Instagram, I also think another great way for researching an organization, their culture, their values, kind of behind the scenes. You can strengthen your personal brand, share your creative content, but also think it's also distracting. And the hashtag can sort of be a hit or miss. TikTok is awesome. I'm not on TikTok, but I like the idea of TikTok. It is large global audience between the ages of 18 and 24. I've heard people describe it as Gen Z LinkedIn or Career Talk. So I think the cool thing about the video sharing feature is it allows you to really be authentic, or to convey an authentic representation of yourself. Some potential downsides, less anonymity would mean that there's more room for potential bias. Difficulty getting views with the way the algorithms are set up, and also distracting. I have some notes on this. It does, so some of these platforms lend themselves particularly well to some industries. So again, it kind of depends on the industry or sector that you're interested in. For example, marketing and sales, things where you might be more customer facing, or roles within retail, hospitality. Also companies that are wanting to attract younger candidates. So, you know, thinking about all these platforms, the benefits, the potential downsides, just deciding what the right platform for you would be. Okay, your social media footprint is the trail you leave behind. I'm probably going to say it like a lot of times today, but it's important to understand that what you say or do is really powerful online, and it can help or severely hinder your job search. Okay, I wrote this down. According to research, 34% of employers say that social media sites have helped them decide whether or not to shortlist their applicants for specific jobs. So again, just something to think about. And also, privacy doesn't always mean that it's private, which we will get into. You know, certain profiles or platforms might be set to public versus like friends of friends, or you know, only your connections. So we'll get into that a little bit more, but just something to think about your social media footprint. So what does your social media footprint say about you? So first things first, it is always a good idea to creep on yourself. Google yourself. I would recommend incognito window, because not having the incognito window might alter like the search results. But that's always a really good place to start, is like Google yourself, simply searching your name and seeing what comes up. And remember, if you can find it online, so can everyone else. Also think about, you know, where you're at on social media. Like, when was the last time you scrolled the bottom of your Instagram feed to see what you posted? So just some good things to think about. Consider the hard questions. Really great question. Would I want to get asked about this during an interview? So it is important to remember that when you are in the middle of a job search, it's very likely, like those statistics that I mentioned, that employers are going to be searching you online and seeing if you are on social media. They want to see what you're posting. So whether it was maybe like a tweet from 5 years ago or something that seemed funny at the time, or maybe it was a different context, whatever the case is, it might be really hard to explain what you were trying to convey in your post or in your video or whatever. Again, just only post things that you think would be comfortable with potential employers. But the other side of that is privacy settings. And so I wrote this in parentheses as while this can only do so much. Always check your privacy settings. So if you prefer to keep your social media profiles private, then maybe you consider creating a separate account for your professional social media account. That way you can connect with other professionals, showcase your skills, your projects. But again, that I was going to mention this multiple times, just because you're private does not mean that it might not be searchable. For example, profile photos, doesn't matter if you're on private or not. If you Google, your name, those always come up. So, also don't mix up your account. And I say that because I have done that. Story for another time. Okay, so social media, I can't talk. Social media do's and don'ts. If we want to get noticed in the right way, not the wrong way. So we're just gonna really quickly talk about some habits that are best to be avoided first, and then we'll talk about ways that you can aid your job search. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna talk about the negative. I told you I was gonna have so many guests on this. Great. So whether or not, I'm just gonna put that out there, whether or not you think this is fair, it happens. So it's something to think about. So first we're gonna talk about the negatives. 70% of recruiters, according to research, look at a candidate's bad behavior on social media. And I thought it was important for me to, in this room, define what bad behavior is. And for me, it's the obvious stuff, right? Don't be racist or intolerant online, bashing your current or past employers, illegal activity or maybe activity that would appear criminal, misrepresenting your qualifications, obviously, sharing confidential information from work or school, right? HIPAA protected information or PII, personally identifiable information. Also, this is one, lying about absences from work. Not a good look if an potential employer finds that you called out sick from work, but really you're having a party. Yeah, when in doubt, don't post. So again, things that you wouldn't want a potential employer to see, and not relying on those security preferences. But again, thinking about separating your accounts. If you just because you're on social media and you're applying for jobs doesn't mean that you can't have a private life. So if that's your thing, consider separating out those accounts. And then also don't be unprepared for consequences of social media. And I added this one because as individuals, all of us in this room with multiple intersecting identities, right? How do we navigate being authentic online? Where we don't want to be so surface level and, we're hiding our true selves, because that is not going to help get a job. But we also don't want to be on the other side where we're completely unfiltered. So for each person in this room, discover what that means for you. It also depends, the line of work that you're interested in, the industry that you want to be in. right? Like somebody who's maybe interested in being a financial advisor might have a very different footprint than somebody who's maybe wanting to be a journalist who's writing about social justice. So again, find out what it means for you and be prepared for those consequences based on your decision. Okay. So some do's. You want to change your perspective on social media, right? Like social media is super fun and it's great to share your lunches and what's happening on Love Island. But it's also a career development tool. It is a great way to connect with potential employers, recruiters. Like I mentioned earlier, more and more companies are using Instagram and other social media accounts, LinkedIn, as an extension of their hiring practices. So use that information to research the organizations that you're interested in, connecting with them. You know, it's more than just a fun way to use our time. Also, this is really, really important, but doing an audit. Yeah, I know I said I was going to do 50 times checking your privacy settings, but to do an audit, I think it would be an easy way by, you know, opening up a Google document or an Excel sheet or a Word document, whatever you want, and making a list of all of the places that you are online. So what your handle is, what are you using that site for? Is it just for personal fun or is it for career development? What are you posting? Go through your posts, your videos, your content, and then decide whether you need to do some cleaning up, maybe making things private, maybe making things public. Is it a personal account, a professional account? Again, Googling yourself and starting to do a little bit of cleanup. Also, watch what you say. I have been talking about this, so I won't go into detail, but I wrote down in my notes, WYPED, WWYPED. What would your potential employer think? Okay, I love her so much. So again, other ways to leverage your social media, show off your achievements, whether they're past milestones or they're new goals that you're wanting to accomplish, show it off. It's really a great way to post projects, things that you're working on, maybe like conferences or types of personal professional development that you're doing. Instagram highlights is really cool for that. Especially if your account is public, you know, it's right there at the tip of your finger. Engage in discussion. So this is a great one to keep an eye on online discussions. You can set Google alerts for key topics. Again, we talked about hashtags, looking for industry relevant groups on Facebook, LinkedIn, other platforms. But by following, you're liking posts by companies to impress potential recruiters, posting relevant articles that you find interesting, keeping up with the development of the industries that you're interested in. This is a really great one too for when you're preparing for job interviews. Like, you know your stuff, you're part of the conversations that are happening online, and you can bring that up, which looks really good. Also, LinkedIn is really good for this, but checking some of the social media groups that Specific might be affiliated with, finding your alumni groups, groups that are focused on your fields of interest or career. Oh yeah, this is another good one too, like on Instagram or other profiles that businesses are posting. engaging them by asking questions, even something as simple as, is anyone hiring in this industry? Or maybe you have a specific question about their company. It's a great way to get responses. What's it like to work at company X? Gives you some insight into their organization and their culture. And finally, showing your personality online. So just because you want to mind your social media footprint, it doesn't mean that you should be so self-aware that you're totally devoid of like any sense of humor and personality, right? So you want to show that you're an interesting person, because recruiters do care about that. Not only do they want to see that you're capable, but they also want to know that you're likable and you're well-rounded. So while I wouldn't suggest signing up for every single social network platform that is out there, just for the sake of it, again, like pick the right ones that are for you, and then using them well is really going to make you stand out. Last but not least, final thoughts. Again, like I mentioned, they're not looking for the most perfect human being that's out there. Like, you can still be your most authentic self, have a life, post on social media. They're just looking for qualified, educated candidates like you. Yeah, present yourself in the best way that you know how. Okay, so references and then questions. Yes.
How long did this take to make?
Actually, not long. I love Canva. So, yep. See in the chat. Are there any questions in the chat? Yes.
And then Facebook on your thread, is there everything on?
Yeah, because only the old people use it. Right, am I right?
You are.
Well, people in family.
Yeah. Did anyone here use Facebook? Right now, Facebook is a good source of information, but it feels like it's being phased out a little bit. It's just like my personal opinion, but I do feel like there's better platforms when you're doing career development. Yeah.
I feel like, you could see a picture of something that's never moving on. They have suggestions for that, like, I looked at something 2 years ago and we read it, but it's still kind of out there.
It's a really good question. I think I didn't mention this in the presentation, but privacy terms and conditions like change from time to time with certain platforms. And so I think it's good to get in the habit of regularly checking what's out on Google when you Google your name. And so just be mindful that like 5 years later, you may, regret whatever it was that you posted, you try and delete it. Just continue to kind of watch that and see if it's popping up. You might be able to like disable if it is like an account that you've had for so long and it feels like you just need to maybe start fresh and start new, maybe disabling that account and starting a brand new account. And then moving forward, like really think about what you're posting. Does that answer your question? Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Yes.
Did you use any of the social media given to find the position of currently, or was that more something that just fell into?
Oh, that's a great question. I use LinkedIn. So I use LinkedIn, and when I applied, it was so LinkedIn has the way it's set up. Some organizations can, when they post their jobs, have you go to like their direct website or maybe like an external application. Or there's what's called like easy and apply. So if you, I would recommend everyone here to get a LinkedIn. Again, she's that girl. You want to have a LinkedIn. Everyone uses it. So they have that like easy and apply, and you have a section where you can upload your resume and have your details on your profile filled out. So that information gets like, transferred into your, when you easy and apply. I had a recruiter, or actually now my boss, like message me and reach out to me. We set up a time to talk, and the rest is history. So it was through LinkedIn that I found where I met. Any other questions? Do you feel like this was helpful? Okay.
So do you think people that don't want to be on social security economy, like if you just like a computer or a link, like, but there's people that want over here with media folders, you know?
Yeah. No, that's a good question, and I don't think it's, I've seen this, like, some say it is and others say it's not. That when employers might be looking at, like, looking you up when you're being hired or looking at being hired, like, not having a social media footprint or no social accounts anywhere is like considered a red flag. But again, I think it depends on the line of work that you're, seeking to get into. If you're like a content creator, writer, or, somebody that maybe like you would want to have portfolios of work, it might be weird when they try and like look you up that you're not on any social account. So again, I think that is a big factor. But again, there's people that just don't want to be on social media, and that's fine, but there's other ways of getting the job. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say your name is like Jim Smith or Mike Penn. What if you share a name with a problematic person?
Get your name legally
Like,
changed.
would you try to like preempt it, like say, oh, if you're Googling me, you may see some things come up, and I want you to know that's not me, or something like that.
Wow. Well, we have to go extra notes, so we have some little information. I mean, if your name is really closely lined up with somebody super problematic, I think there should be a way, or you should really think strategically about the social media account that you're creating. And like how you're setting up your name, your handle, make it so it's very clear that you are not that person and differentiating. I guess when it comes to like applying, letting them know, but if you've done a really good job with your social media to differentiate from that person, then it's never even gonna be an issue there. Not Mike Penn.
I like this one. In the past where somebody, the employee was a really nice person, but like a disgruntled customer, like built a website, trash talking this person. And so it's social media, but if you Googled her, I think most people look at it and it looks like an unhinged manifest. So you can take with a grain of salt, but that's why it's important to Google yourself.
Yeah.
You know what you've created, but maybe what other people have created that shares your name.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, that's a note on like, if you don't have account, or you don't have an account that you're on regularly, when you beg for other people, or even it's a positive thing, right? Like if you're not on social media, you still need to know that. Well, you're probably still a presence, I just Googled my job, and that's good, forever, and like, something came up from like, my Pinterest, and I'm like, Pinterest, like, when's the last time you even logged into Pinterest? Like, right?
Exactly.
But Reddit shows, it's like,
Anyway, so, and my YouTube channel, which apparently I had a YouTube channel 10 years ago, which is a lot. 3 years ago, one from grad school, just went out, but right, like.
That is, I'm so glad that you brought that up, like talking about accounts that maybe you forgot existed and you have not logged in. If you can figure out what those are, like delete them, like disable them if you're not using them. I'm in this like personal story time. I have a Facebook from years ago that now like someone is selling like knockoff handbags, like, but like in China, and I have no, like, I can't get access to this account, like it's locked. It's a story, but you don't want something like that to happen. Yeah, hacking, right, exactly. I might. Christine, we're aging ourselves.
Hope you like my songs at six.
Does anyone on Zoom have any questions? Anything that I missed covering, that maybe you're thinking about?
There's questions here too.
Oh, yeah,
Alright, if you don't have your like actual name online anywhere, is there like other ways of where you can find yourself, like your email or things like that?
that's a good question. Probably because like how it links to your account. So again, I would, when you're doing a Google search, I would Google not only your name, but also your email and see what pops up and what you see. Yeah, anything that might be linked to your account, I would check out. Anyone else?
How many social media accounts do you have?
I reluctantly have a Facebook, like, yeah, but it's literally for work. If you don't have if you want to have a work account, like you have to have a personal account, just don't. I have an Instagram account. I have a LinkedIn. I just set up Hollywood, you guys.
Yeah, that's cool.
It is so cool. You should look it up. I have a Twitter. I am anonymous. Just saying. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. Who's on social media here the most? Like how? Wow. Like time-wise, but also the number of like different platforms you're on.
Oh, man.
If you were, time-wise, you're on.
I would not recommend that.
I think it's a time suck. I would never get anything.
So much TikTok.
Yeah, but you've also learned a lot of.
Yeah.
That's a good point though, right? If you notice that social media is impacting your mental health in a not good way, like sometimes it's like, it's an escape, I'm gonna go look at stuff, and I'm like, oh, that rape from whatever I was doing was not a rape.
Yeah.
Strange because of the who I follow and like what's like, there's a lot of like world events, right? Like I had friends talking themselves, they from the Michigan shooting, right? Like that was not a hard. Yeah, to pay attention to how it's impacting them. I don't know.
Great point. And I would recommend everyone do that, like whether or not you're thinking of using social media as a career development tool, like doing that audit for yourself to see what old accounts are up, how much time you're actually spending. I forgot I have a Reddit account, so I don't. Ooh, that's good check. But yeah,
I'm like, is Venmo
I do.
you? Like, it's weird. It's not.
It's not, I don't think it's considered social.
But check your Venmo settings because under here you can see who you're sending money to and what for.
That's true.
And it's, right, like, I'm like, is this like, okay.
Oh, beautiful.
Like 2 years.